What is up? Welcome to the Stat Guy Show, episode number 3. As you can see, I'm here with special guest Scott Taylor. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on. You've had a couple good episodes the last few, man. They've been great, so we're happy to be on.
Cool, man. Appreciate that. So I noticed the other day, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you, man. 41 years old.
I was told you are 31 years old now, so that's good.
I wish. I told everybody when I turned 40, I was going to turn around and go the other way, and I didn't do that. So I turned 41, but it could be 39.
Cool, man. I saw Bobby gave you a couple cakes. You had to have known he was going to smash one of them in your face as he walked up to you.
I should have, but the cakes look so good, and Bobby's a big guy like me. I didn't think he had the heart to do it. So I was looking at the cake, and the cake looked really good. And then next thing I know, I was wearing
it. So what'd you do for your party? What'd you do for your birthday? Did you go party?
No, man, I got so much going on with business and, prepping for Australia. We really didn't get to leave the shop. And thankfully, my friends understand how busy we are right now. And a lot of people came by the shop to see us, and I appreciate that. We had a birthday dinner, at a local place, a local Mexican restaurant right here in my town. And that was about it, man. That was the first time I ever had, at 2 separate times of the day, I had to change shirts. I had a cake smashed in my face. So that was twice in one day was a record for me.
Nice. All right, well let's get into it. The hot topic right now in Street Outlaws world is Australia, and you are one of the 10 guys going to Australia. Are you excited?
Man, I am very excited. There's 32 guys, maybe even more. There's like 40. Just say 45 guys, but there's 32 that stay in the top of the points, that race week in, week out. And to be picked as 10 of the guys to go to Australia is huge for us. That was we really appreciate the opportunity to go to Australia, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, I've never left the country.
Nice. You plan to do some sightseeing while you're over there?
Absolutely. My wife loves animals, and she's definitely excited and ready to go see some kangaroos.
Hell yeah. So you got your car over there. Your car made it safe in the container ship?
The container's over there. I'm really anxious to get over there and open up the door and hit that starter button and see if it spins over like it's supposed to. And I've heard horror stories, man. We try to do everything we can do to prepare and, try to keep the moisture out of those things. And hopefully when I get there, everything's good.
Yeah. So what did you all have to bring in there besides your car?
We brought everything that I had with me for the Mega Cash Days. So my car was already over that way. It was only 2 hours away from the port. So everything that I had with me that I'd been racing with a month is in that container. So the main contents is one motor in the car and one wore out motor from Cash Days. So I've got somewhat of a spare with me.
Nice. Is there anything at this point you wish you would have put in that container?
Absolutely. Had I known that we was leaving Mega Cash Days and going to Australia, things could have been done a little different.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I've heard you guys are pretty much going to be living out of your container from track to track.
Well, not necessarily living out of it, but racing out of it for sure. And that's going to be tough. You put in a 12-hour day at the racetrack and no AC. I don't really know how we're going to get out of the weather. That's yet to be determined. Hopefully they take care of us with some kind of trailer or something to get out of just for, an hour or two during the day. But 12 hours out in the day, out in the sun, 2 days in a row and racing is going to be brutal for sure. We definitely want to stay hydrated. Definitely.
I saw a live feed of another driver from Australia talking about how hard it was for them to get parts over the last year or 2 years. Are you guys worried at all that you might break? I mean, you're going to break something, but you might have like a big break and you're not going to be able to fix it while you're there?
Absolutely. And that's a fear anytime you go racing, especially because we usually race in the middle of the night. So usually what we have with us is what we have. And and going that far, we have no idea what it's like over there. I've never been. So the things we have packed is our lifeline, and that's all I have to work with. I pretty much count out being able to get anything over there that I need. So we tried to bring it with us. Is there a lot of things I could have brought more? Probably so. Like I say, we left from cash days and went straight over there. So it could have been a few more things for sure.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of the call out videos that they've been making to kind of hype it up. Who was, have you seen them? Who was one of the guys? I forget his name. One of the guys who had a good one calling you out.
Man, there's been some great videos for sure. The guy reeling us in was fishing and was reeling my picture in. I like that one probably as much as any of them. But and there's one guy that's got a cutlass that was calling me out. I mean, that's going to be hard to turn down because 2 cutlasses would be a good race. I think, I'm looking forward to meeting those guys and their families and the spectators and fans over there. It seems to be the hype behind it. They are very excited about seeing us, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think if this goes, I mean, it's going to all depend on this one, right? I think if this one goes really well, I'm sure all the fans will come out to see you guys for sure. I think this will open up doors for even going, for the future, going different places or even coming back to Australia. So
I'm really excited to see what doors this opens up for Street Outlaws. I think this is going to be a stepping stone to just open up more doors to go more places. And I'm excited about that. I love to travel.
Oh, yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about No Prep Kings. Let's talk about this past season of No Prep Kings. How do you think you did, Scott?
Man, I didn't do as good as planned. And I'm sure nobody plans not to win. Our team plans to win, and I wouldn't go if I didn't think we could win. So obviously we fell a little short on that. It wasn't from a lack of effort. I switched gears mid-season and went to the Proline Hemi, and obviously the motor makes more power. It did make more power, but it was a little bit of a learning curve with transmission converter, rear gearing. And honestly, I didn't get it figured out until the very last race of the season. And that was even after the main event was over. I sort of started getting it figured out in a little second chance race, I call it. But like I say, everybody put in a ton of work, and everybody's working super hard. All the combos are really, really close, man. They really are. But Pro Charger, I love the Pro Charger. I gotta put in more work. You can never put in enough work. If you think you need 2 test sessions, you need to schedule 4, because if you do 2, the next guy's gonna do 2. So you better do double whatever you think is right.
Yeah, definitely. Have you thought about, depending on how the rules change, if they change, about changing your setup if the rules get out of hand? Is that a thought that comes across your mind?
Yeah, Wally's Troop is working on me another car right now, and it's going to be identical to what I got, another Camaro. I wanted to make some changes to the current car, and we decided to build another one to have. We got so many different races going. You almost have to have a spare chassis in the works. I mean, just provide somebody hits you or you hit the wall or whatever happens. When you're racing, if you don't have a spare, you're in trouble. So with that other car, I'm probably going to do something different than Pro Charger with it, but I don't know what yet. I have already lined up a screw blower. I've already lined up twin turbo and even a roots. So I got those. It'll be Hemi based. I'll say that because I have a Hemi sitting there ready for that car. But providing how the rules go, and I feel like we're within the next week we'll know. But providing how those rules go, that other car is going to have a different combo in them.
Nice, and that's getting worked on right now. Getting built right now.
It is. Wally's Troop's currently working on it. We will start the season with the current car and with a Pro Charger. Until that car outruns this car, that's the way it's going to be. We're not going to switch. That's one thing I won't do again. I won't take a car and switch between weeks and hope it works out with a little to no testing. So in the future, if I switch combos, it's going to be on a car that's not being run, and then I'll let it prove itself before I bring it out at race.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Do you think the rules should be changed a lot?
I do. Before No Prep Kings, me and Mike Murillo had Dirty South No Prep Racing Series, and
Yep.
I wouldn't look at the times during the races at all. But after the event was over, I would go home and I would study these times for every combo, and I wouldn't make changes race to race. But at the end of the year, I would put the best ET for the best combo, each combo, all the way down the line for the whole year, and we would go in and we would massage these rules to try to make it fair for everybody. So with that being said, yes, I would change the rules, not just because I don't have a screw blower at the moment. Obviously, if the rules are better for a screw blower, I'll go to a screw blower. But if it was me, I would put just a little weight on a screw blower. I know people think that's crazy since Ryan won with a Pro Charger, but the fact is the screw blowers were just starting to get figured out towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I think if Ryan Martin had a screw blower right now, they would have been putting a lot of weight on a screw blower right now. So that's one problem I'm fighting with a Pro Charger is I'm having to get the Ryan Martin weight on my Pro Charger because Ryan Martin, obviously, whatever combo he has, I mean, hats off to the guy, but he's going to make it shine,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Daddy Dave said last week is that because Ryan does well, everybody who has a Pro Charger gets, gets the way with them. So.
And it sort of stinks because, I mean, it is what it is, but you think, and not to call anybody out or say that they do good or don't do good because they do great, but just take the nitrous combo. You got 3 or 4 guys. Well, you base the rules off of those 3 or 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine if Ryan went to a nitrous combo. As much as he tests and the time he spends, I'm going to say he's going to run good.
Yeah.
And within those rules would be based off of Ryan versus those other guys. And, or, not necessarily nitrous, but roots, screw. I guess I'm talking about all those combos. So, for example, if Ryan went roots blower, do you think the rules would remain the same for roots blower? They'd probably end up changing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, you got a good point there. So the grade 8 this year, that's been the big conversation, whether people liked it, didn't like it. You were in most of them. I want to say you were in like maybe 12 of them, something like that, if I can remember my stats correctly.
I think I was only not in 2 of them, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So, 13, something like that. So what are your thoughts about it? Do you think it should stay how it is for next year? Do you think it should be changed at all?
I like the format of it, and I like that the top 8 are racing each other because I think that's what everybody wants to see. But I don't like the fact that even though I was involved in it and I got some points from it, I don't like the fact that those 8 drivers get points and the other guys don't. So I think they should maybe, if they don't want to remove the points from it, maybe they tone them down a little bit, maybe 5 points to win it versus, 20 or whatever. It's I think it could be toned down on how many points those guys get that the other people are not. Once they get behind, it's really hard to get back in that top 8.
Right. Yeah. You could see that there was only like 13 or 14 people that actually raced in the grade 8 the whole entire season. So after a couple of weeks, it really separated the top 12 or 13 guys from the rest of the field. And it's pretty much stayed that way, I'd say, until the very end when you started to do 1.5 and double points. But
yeah.
What are your thoughts about that too? Towards the end of the year with the 1.5 and the double. I haven't asked that question, but that's very interesting in my eyes. It kind of creates like it kind of creates like a playoff kind of thing where towards the end of the year it really starts to matter. A couple races, like a lot of points.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea if it was if it was my race and I got to pick how we did that. I personally wouldn't do them all at the end. I would throw them out in the middle of the season, and then towards the end, to mix it up, maybe so that some guys in the middle of the season can get back in the game, to shake it up a bit. I think mid-season something needs to happen to shake it up. If not, your guys that are doing real well, it just seems like they stretch out. But if there was a way to shake things up mid-season, I think it would keep everybody's focus, watching what's going on and not one person just leading the way.
Right. Definitely. This year, actually every year almost, it seems like the show really tries to sell the team aspect of a No Prep Kings. And obviously Team NOLA, you guys have, you guys are by far the best team. You guys got the top, always got like four guys in the top 5 and the top 10 every single year. What is the dynamic now with Team NOLA going for next year? I mean, I saw a comment from Kai on his Facebook about he's going to be about himself, all this controversy regarding Lizzie and Kai. I don't want you to get into that at all. More of like, what's the status of Team NOLA going forward?
I mean, Kyle had to make those decisions on, for himself, but I have the same ideas and perspective that I've always had. I don't want to get into Kai's situation.
Right. No.
That's his deal. But I'll just say that from the get-go, I told my guys this season that if I pull up to the starting line, I'm going to race. Everybody that supports my team would not like if I laid down ever. So with that being said, the team thing, that makes the team thing difficult. Where I can help my teammates is like, for instance, like Bobby. Bobby has a Pro Charger combo. I do everything I can do to tune it and make it as fast as I can do. If something happens to Jerry's car, I try to be the first guy over there to help him. You can help each other off the racetrack. But at the moment that you give races away, and not knocking the 405 or anybody that's done it in the past, but the moment you give races away, you're taking away from the sport, in my opinion. And some people hate me for saying that, but man, I'm there to race, and I don't think it's right for the sport to do any different.
Right. Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of drivers I've talked to would feel the same way you do, Scott. So one thing I wanted to ask you about, Scott, and this is kind of going forward here now, is the fact that you haven't won an invitational event yet. You've been doing this, from my stats, you've been doing this from season 1. Ryan's only other person Ryan's attended every single event. You've only missed one event. You missed one race. I don't know if it was season 2 or season 3 or something like that. You missed the last race of the season, but no one's gone. You and Ryan are the top 2 guys as far as going to every single event. And you saw Jerry Bird win one last year. Finally, is this something that is on your mind ever? And does it affect you? Do you try not to let it affect you?
For sure, it affects me, and I dig really hard, and I try every year as hard as I can. I literally sat down for days and weeks trying to figure out what I can do differently each season. And for my marketing partners, I'm obviously trying to pull off a win as much for them as I am myself. And it just hasn't fell our way. And I still to this day can't wrap my mind around what I'm doing wrong. But clearly I'm doing something wrong with the program. And that's why, me and Craig Pashar with Triangle Speed had a long lasting relationship that he had been tuning for me for a while. And I ended up, me and him are still really good friends, but I sort of stepped away from Triangle and went to Proline thinking, let's just change something up, I'll say this, and I'm sure any guy that doesn't win as much as they want will say this, but I feel like I can drive a race car as good as anybody in the country. Reaction time, how I handle the car, maintenance, how I prep the car. You don't see a lot of problems out of our team as far as we make the laps. I honestly feel like we are still missing something in the tuning area. And we're trying to find it. I'm learning. That's what I've set out to do, is really, really learn and try to figure it out for myself, some of it. But I still feel like we're missing a little bit. Triangle Speed done one heck of a job Proline done one heck of a job. Just trying to find that missing link. But we have not one, and it does weigh on me. It does. I think about it every day.
Really? I always text Steve message Steve every week and say, hey, rooting for Scott this week, man. He's going to win it this week. I could just tell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd say, Scott, you're the perfect example of the fact that, and this goes for drag racing, really any sports, is that to win a championship, to win a race, it takes some luck. And to go, I mean, you got to have, the biggest thing in my opinion is you got to be able to go 5 rounds and not break something. And that is and not, have 5 good rounds, no shaking your tires, no missed tunes. I mean, there's a lot of luck involved there. So, yeah.
That's the part that I feel like my team brings to the table. I hold my crew to a very high level, and I'm probably the guy that double checks more than he should. But before I pull the line, I've just about double checked everything you can double check, and we really bring a good program to MPK. Like I was saying, we're not all downs left and right. We're not, anything can happen. We could do that next race, but as a statistic, we make laps and we make passes. We're just missing a little something somewhere, and that's what we got to find this season. That's why I wanted to do 2 totally different combos, 2 totally different tuners, and I'm going to race the fastest car.
Nice. That's awesome.
So Proline Racing, Jamie Miller's going to have 1 car. Triangle Speed's going to have 1 car, and I'm going to, and then the Pro Charger car, I'm going to beat on it several days myself, tuning it, and all the street stuff. I do all the tuning there on all the street stuff, and my fastest pass to date with the Pro Charger car, I was actually tuning it. So but I don't. That's the problem I have, is I don't have time. It's not fair to the people that come to those races. It's not fair for them if I'm staying in the trailer for 90% of the time tuning on it. So,
right.
I can't do that. So I'm going to have somebody helping me. I've learned so much from Craig Pashar and Jamie that it's, they both have their own angles. And to be honest, I've learned so much from both of them that it's incredible how smart those guys are.
Yeah. And so talk about now I think I've noticed it starting on America's List season 2, really, they started talking about it more, but you are, I don't know if it was him asking you or you helping him, but you've been really helping Bobby over the last year or 2 years, something like that. Talk about that relationship and how that kind of came about as far as helping Bobby out.
I've always sort of helped Bobby, sort of behind the scenes with his nitro stuff, and I never really dug into it real deep. But I think we were in maybe Las Vegas, and it was going to be tough to get down that road. It was pretty bad. So I started helping him, and we started making improvements every lap. And then he basically just handed his computer to me and said, you just do your thing and I'm going to drive it. And believe it or not, I've really got a lot of enjoyment out of helping Bobby. So it's pretty awesome for both of us, really, because I like tuning and I like seeing the, progress with his car. And his car works really good, and it makes the tuner look good, honestly. But it's an old combo that I've had before, and so I'm able to go in there and just do some things that I learned years ago, and it works good. But seeing the smile on Bobby's face and him going rounds, that's almost better than actually driving the race car.
Nice, that's cool. So Scott, we've seen you on basically every Street Outlaw show you can be on besides the 405 show, obviously. You do a lot of street racing too. Do you enjoy street racing or more than No Prep Kings?
I enjoy both of them. The street stuff to me is probably a little more fun. I like the excitement. I like the tuning aspect of the street stuff. I have a good time trying to take, like, for instance, John Doe's got a Hemi in it, Pro Charger, 10-inch tire on a bad road. To me, it's a challenge to get that car to go down that road, and I enjoy that part of it as much as anything.
Nice. So I'm sure you've been excited that you guys just filmed recently Mega Cash Days, and that was on small tires. You filmed Fast in America. That was on small tires. Are you excited? Are you happy that you guys have gone back to small tires on the streets now?
Absolutely. If I could vote on it, I would go small tires across the board. I think if we went to 28s on NPK, and I know that's a long shot, but if we went to 28s on NPK, I think it would change things up, and it would allow some of the guys that have a little more knowledge, to outrun some of the higher dollar combos, I guess is what I'm saying. So, knowledge and skill might overcome finances. And that's a tough thing to do in drag racing.
Right. And now it's funny how it comes back around, because we've seen this with Street Outlaws had small tires, and that was on the NOLA show when you guys had big tire and small tire lists many years ago.
Yeah.
I watched some episodes recently of the NOLA show, and it's funny to see all you guys and stuff like that. How did that? You and Kai seem to have a pretty big rivalry on the show back then. Was that a real life rivalry?
It really wasn't to begin with. Me and Kai were friends before the show. He called me, how do I adjust the rocker arms again? How do I set the distributor? I've walked that guy through, how to adjust the rocker arms more times than I can count. And then, and don't get me wrong, he's came so far. Now he's building 959s in his garage. I mean, he was a quick learner for sure. But I knew him before, and then they sort of plotted us against each other, and we were the biggest rival because me and him raced a lot, and we did have a rival, but it was a friendly rival. By the end of that show, we didn't like each other a whole bunch. That was a pretty tough deal, I still get people messaging me about it, and but it was rough. It was really rough because, like I say, it was a friendly rival at a local racetrack, and then it turned into a national rival. So it was tough.
Yeah, I would say that was NOLA was my favorite show. I've watched the 405 since day one, but when Kai came and won the Cash Days and beat Dave and beat Chief, I was like, this guy's the fastest guy in the street, and then you guys had your show, and it was sad to see it end when it did. But it seemed like you guys, NOLA guys, that group has been together for a really long time. I mean, you had Barry in there, you had all kinds of guys in there.
Yeah.
Talk about that relationship with you and Jerry and Kai, and you guys have been together friends for so long.
Yeah. Jerry Bird, I was watching him when I was a kid here at the local drag strip. They were always racing out here, what I would call pro mod back in the day. And they were one of my favorite cars to watch. There was a couple pro mods. There was 3 or 4 that always came to Hub City Dragway. And I mean, honestly, I looked up to Jerry Bird. There was several guys that I looked up to that was super fast back then, and Jerry was one of them. We started putting on a race even before I was involved with it. Jerry was involved with coming up with a Fat Tuesday race at Hub City Dragway, and that was the biggest event that track had for probably 10 years. They had it each year, and it was sort of Jerry Bird's idea to do the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. So and Bobby, me and Bobby's been friends for years. We were, he was me and him didn't get along at first, but he definitely grew on me. He I tell everybody, you got internet Bobby, and then you got the real Bobby. Internet Bobby, he's gonna say whatever, he's gonna make you mad as possible, but the Bobby in person has got the biggest heart. He's the kindest soul you'll ever meet. I would call it a kind soul and a gangster body.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you, when you first started filming for Street Outlaws, were you surprised, or I guess taken back by how the show portrays some people, or how the show wants to portray characters on it? Because you're obviously portrayed as the nice guy. You are a Scott Taylor. You're the nicest guy out there, and I'm always thinking and then you got Robin Roberts, who's portrayed as a bad guy and stuff like that. And I'm like, I've met Robin. He's a really nice guy, Yeah. It's tough, I would think. You kind of got to play your character, I think, after a while, huh?
It is. I'll say that they didn't always portray me to be the nice guy, and
No, not at first.
that was very hard for me because, you know, even when Street Outlaws first started, I was the same guy that I am now. I was helping people at my shop. We were getting all the cars ready every week. I was trying to organize everything, keep all the guys happy with each other. And they were portraying me to be basically a crybaby on there. And that was tough to sit back and watch. And the people that I've met, I've raced every single week for, since I was old enough to race, and all those people that knew me said, that's not right, and so it was tough to get all those phone calls from people knowing they know how I live day to day. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, because nobody is perfect, but what you're saying is correct. Sometimes they portray you, they find that little niche and they go with it, even though it might not be correct. For example, Robin Roberts. Robin Roberts is a good guy. He's a great guy. He made some mistakes and said some things, and they went with it. And now he's known as a bad guy in TV land, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you never know. It may change back, 2 or 3 years. How you race eventually has to go back to how it really is. They can't make him out to be a bad guy for 3 years if he's not a bad guy. So
right.
What you see, I would tell everybody, don't worry about what you see in 1 or 2 episodes. Worry about what you see for years and years to come.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. If you want, Scott, we might take a couple questions from I don't know if you can see the comments or not.
No, I don't see it. Let me see if I can.
I can. If whoever's watching, if you want to ask some questions for Scott, put it in the comments. I can put it on the screen for you, Scott.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see any comments.
In No Prep Kings, is there anybody that you consider one of your rivals?
I would have to say Ryan Martin, only because I think he's the fastest, and I'm always wanting to beat him. If I can get by Ryan, I feel like we've done something. But other than that, not really. I just go and I'm not really worried about who I run. I'm just trying to win the whole event, and I can tell you, I don't want to draw Ryan round one. We were 2-2 with Ryan this season, and that's better than most people are with him. So he's a tough draw.
Yeah, I'd say overall, like in his career, you were one of the guys that has beat him, a handful of times. Where I was at the race last year in Brainerd when you beat him in the first round. So it always seems like you're one of the guys that always gives Ryan a tough run for sure. So I'm not surprised that you said Ryan is one of your rivals.
Yeah, it just lets me know where I stack up. Even we'll say the second to last race, Steel Alabama. I had the new combo pro line deal. I thought I had it ironed out pretty good. I drew Ryan's second round. He put 3/4 car on me. It let me know that I wasn't ready. The car wasn't fast enough to be a race winner just yet. And when he beats me, it just puts me back at work. I know that he's a winner, and if I can outrun him, it makes me feel good about having a shot to win the whole race.
Nice. We got a question here from Desiree. What was your favorite track to race at last year?
Last year, I really liked the Steel Alabama track. I know a lot of people had trouble getting in there, but racing at Steel Alabama was the closest thing I've had to racing at home in a long time. I got to see people that I haven't seen in 10 years, and so it was fantastic. The track was good. The atmosphere made it over the top. It was fantastic.
Got another question here from somebody named David Comstock. I don't know who that is, but Scott, what did Bobby pay you for your old car?
Man, he's had that thing for a while, y'all. It's I can't believe he painted it orange. It's not the same car, but man, everybody gives him heck about it. And I played into it for a little while. I even gave him heck for a little while, but my car is in Missouri. It's black now, and but Bobby's car looks identical to my old car. Same combo. I mean, it's very close. Good comment, Dave.
Was it hard to sell, Track, though?
Absolutely. It was super hard to sell that car. I had to sell it financially to get the new car. A lot, and that's a whole different area, but a lot of people think we're just, super wealthy, and that's not the case. I mean, we are pinching pennies, trying to spend, we spend everything we make trying to go faster. So whatever we make, then you get beat by Ryan, then you spend everything you made. So
Right.
It's a very vicious cycle. I'll say that I'm gaining a lot of assets out of this deal, as far as race cars, engines, things like that. But we spend every dollar trying to make it.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And speaking of that, the schedule, it hasn't been released yet, but it's going to be a crazy amount of races again. You guys are going to be all over the U.S. How hard is that, Scott? How just physically, financially? I mean, the schedule is like almost double an NHRA like Pro Mod season. So, I mean, just talk about that. Talk about that schedule.
It makes it super tough. This is my dream. It's what if you go back, somebody brought it to my attention when I was a kid in high school. I wrote in my annual that I want to be a race car driver. So this is not something that I just dreamed up, yesterday. This has been my lifelong dream, and I love it. But it gets overwhelming. I would be crazy to tell you anything other than that. But it's very overwhelming, and being gone and being on the road all the time doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is not being able to be home with my kids more than I am. So the summers, they obviously travel with us the whole summer, and then I try to get back home. This season, I'm going to try to change up a little bit. I've got some new business ventures that I'm doing this year, and I'm going to try to get back home for business and family a couple of days a week this year. Okay,
nice. Yeah. So when you're not racing, I mean, what do you and the family like to do?
Man, it's really, really, my family's really simple and laid back. They like to go to the river. They like to look for rocks, fossils. They just like to chill. By the pool. We got a pool at the house, or we either go down to the creek and look for rocks, ride four-wheelers. Mainly just long as we're all together is fantastic.
Nice. That's important time. Well, Scott, I don't want to keep you all night. I know you're a busy man. You got stuff you need to get done. First of all, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I've been a fan of yours forever. Like I said, I message Steve every week, tell him, hey, Scott's going to win it this week. I could just feel it. So I'm always rooting for you, man.
Well, I promise you, we ain't gonna give up. We're digging harder and harder, and like I say, we're gonna come at it at a few different angles this season, and maybe that's what we need to pay off. So I can drive a hot rod. I just gotta have a hot rod to drive.
Gotcha. Well, good luck this year, man. Take care, and I will see you at a couple of the races.
Thank you, buddy. Nice shirt.
All right. All right. Thanks.
All right.